All right, welcome everyone to the latest episode of Continuing Conversations. You know, we talk to a lot of interesting people, and this week it'll be kind of a favorite because we're going back to our old roots, talking about Star Trek Adventures, some of the latest releases. I'm Michael Dismuke. I'm a freelance writer for Star Trek Adventures RPG. In addition to being a lead writer on Captain's Log RPG, check out all my other work at michaeldismuke.com. And of course, here's the captain of the show, Jim Johnson.
Well, that's not fair. I'm not the captain. We're co-captains, if anything.
Well, I think you're the captain. I always view you as the captain, kind of. Sorry, it's because you're my boss. You pay my bills. So what do you say?
Oh, come on. I'm not your boss. Jeez. Oh, hey, everybody.
Project manager. All right, get into it. Don't let me distract you. I made him blush. On the podcast, he's red as anything right now.
I'm Jim Johnson. I am the project manager of Star Trek Adventures RPG, Captain's Log Solo RPG, and the Fallout 2D20 RPG, plus some other stuff. I'm also a freelance writer. You can find me over at scribenetti.com. At one of these days, I'll update that website and be professional, but I'm not there yet. We've got a bunch of other stuff in the hopper, a lot of stuff that we're working on, writing on, that you'll hear about in due course. This year, 2026, is going to be wild and wacky, and I can't wait. I can't wait for it all to come out. And yeah, we're here to talk about a couple of the mission briefs that came out in 2025.
That's right. End of 2025. Well, yeah, spread out throughout 2025, actually. Cory Belote and Marco Rafala, Belote and Marco Rafala. What's interesting is we didn't interview them together. We had to transport to two different locations because one, I think, was in England and the other one was in Italy. So we were all over Europe with these.
Yeah, we are international, as it should be for Star Trek. IDIC.
Exactly. So let's get started with Cory and his mission brief pack. Ready to transport over?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. It's been a couple of weeks since we've spoken directly about Star Trek Adventures story writing. Of course, this is continuing conversations where Star Trek lit is lit and RPG is lit. And we have one of my favorite writers for the line with us this time. It's Cory Belote. How are you doing today, Cory?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Glad to have you here. Jim, let's christen her with the questions.
Yes, indeed. Cory, as you know from watching the show, we always have a tradition here. Anytime we have a new guest on the show, we always want to find out from you in all the 60 years of Star Trek, if you could pick one series to be your favorite, which is it? And if you could pick one Star Trek character out of all the many, many characters out there, who's your favorite character and what's your favorite series?
That is a tough one. I do like the original series. And well, if I have to go for the cast, probably Scotty.
That's a good choice. I don't think we've had anybody pick Scotty yet, but always the steady hand in engineering and the second officer, if I remember right, for a while there on the original series. So yeah, classic stuff.
Well, I also like him because in the TOS character pack that was released back in October, Jim, the free time. No, sorry, the pastime for Scotty was social drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Nathan added that touch as he was revising the crew pack, but it seems to fit. I had a moment of like, oh, is that really appropriate for a pastime? But then, just given the characters, yeah, it makes sense. So good stuff.
Cool.
Especially where he drank that one. I can't remember the character. They drank out of the table. He just held the bottle and said, "We did it."
Right. And I like how in Strange New Worlds, he came on like he never had a drink in his life. We see him become a social drinker working with Pike. I thought that was
working with Pike and Pelia, right? Maybe working with Pelia day to day led him to become a bit more of a social drinker. I don't know. I'll have to see how that all plays out in season 4, I guess.
Yeah. So Cory, talk to us about your journey into writing. How did it start? What was your first project? And then how did you come into this realm of Star Trek Adventures?
I originally started writing a couple of things for Bethesda, but they're like, thank you for giving this. We might use this, we might not. And then didn't hear anything for a while, and they just put me into a testing department. And after that, just kept on trying to get things published. And finally, Jim contacted me and said, "Hey, you want to write something for us?" I'm like, "Sure." I'll do it.
Fantastic. How did you find her, Jim? How did you come across Cory's work? I just made it. I
Gosh,
just brain.
I don't.
Everyone watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, brain freeze. I asked him a question, and he knows hundreds of writers.
I mean, honestly, I don't remember, and I feel bad that I don't remember. But it was in the heyday of first edition when we were doing a lot of mission briefs and a lot of adventures, and just had a lot of projects on my plate. And I don't remember, or you'll have to remind me. Did you reach out to me on email, or did I reach out to you first? I honestly cannot remember.
I remember I had created little custom ship sheets for Star Trek Adventures, sent that in,
Mm-hmm.
and I was directed to the fan site, Continue Machines, and submitted those. And then after that, that's pretty much when you contacted me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah,
my goodness!
So I think it was a continuing mission connection, Michael.
Oh, that touches my heart because my thing with continuing mission is for fans to just put as much stuff out there as possible. And I know that's how Jim noticed me was the blog there. So Cory, knowing that that's your path for writing Star Trek Adventures, which is a gift for us, we'll talk about some of your writing in a second. That makes me so happy. Send more stuff.
So I'm curious a little bit about your time with Bethesda. If you're able to talk about it, Cory, was that here was it the U.S. Bethesda or was there a U.K.?
It was the U.S. one. I was working mainly as a video game tester, testing out all the games.
Mm-hmm.
Send them all the bug reports, and they're like, "Yep, okay." Submitted a couple of custom quests to them, and they're like, "We might use this, we might not."
Okay, and then you went on to do some work for Continuing Mission and for STA. Are there other projects that you have on your plate right now, or other dream projects that you want to be working on?
Currently project free at the moment, just working on a couple of stuff. Well, at least professionally, but I am writing a couple of novels that I've been working on.
Fantastic. Science fiction genre?
Science fiction, and then one's science fiction post-apocalyptic.
Okay. Well, you'll have to come back on once you're ready to talk about those. I know you probably don't want spoilers now, but we'll need to. I'm perusing while we're speaking. I typed in, anyone who goes to Continuing Mission and types in Cory Belote will actually see. And now I'm like jaw dropped because I'm like, oh yeah, you did all of this. You put in all these Starship Registry sheets, which are just beautiful that people can download to enhance their game, which is really cool. So people head over there. A lot of great visualizations. How do you design all this? What program are you using to do these sheets?
Originally I used Adobe Photoshop, just started just drawing it all out by hand, using the original sheet as a base.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I wish I had talent like this. I don't. So please, anything more you have, the fans love it, I'm sure.
All the ship silhouettes, I actually was able to find some of the studio models, just the images. I was just like, okay, use that, and I just traced it all out by hand.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah, so a lot of good stuff in there. Now, let's talk about your latest mission brief. You had several that you put out. Why don't you, again, revisit what you've written for Star Trek Adventures, and then we'll jump into my personal favorite.
Well, I've written Star Trek First Edition, First Contacts, and then the Alpha Quadrant. And the latest one, Judge Advocate General.
All right. Fantastic. So let's talk about that one. What's your favorite JAG episode of Star Trek, if you had to think about it, that maybe inspired the work? And what was your goal with the pack?
Oh, the one that inspired it was we did like the measure. I think it was the Measure of the Man. Is the new episode.
Correct.
Data. And pretty much the goal, it was like, I haven't seen much being written, so like, you know what? I'll go for it. A lot of times I get an idea and I'm like, I'll just start writing, and next thing I know, it's probably 3 a.m. 2 days later. I'm like, I need to go to sleep. My spouse usually, they've set up a nice little alarm clock saying it pops up, says time to go to bed.
Oh, wow.
Because
They don't just let you zone out. They don't just let you zone out writing.
Most of the time they do, but they just set an alarm like, "Hey, go get some sleep."
Okay.
Like, okay.
Got it. And about the Measure of a Man and the JAG episode, what about it inspired you to write, to pitch a whole mission brief pack about the Judge Advocate General's office? Like what particular elements of that kind of a story appealed to you enough to want to spend time and effort making the mission brief pack?
It was pretty much the opening of it where they were setting up the new JAG office. And just they had to write new laws for the expanding territories that they were in. I was like, that would be good to look into and explore.
Yeah, I was looking through the stories and trying to see how they would fit into my adventures, and I really love it because right now my in-person group, they're in an archer class, which means they're not going out and doing deep exploring. They're just staying within the bounds of the Alpha Quadrant, kind of doing whatever missions they pick up. The captain is a diplomat and part of Starfleet intelligence. So when I got that pack, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I said, I'll be able to deal with a lot of investigation, something that an archer class probably would deal with because it's not big Klingon battle cruisers that they have to deal with and such. So it was perfect for that kind of setting. How did you get the inspiration for, I was looking at all of them. I was like, oh, okay. You would think, oh, maybe it's always going to be the same routine kind of situation with JAG, but it's a great variety of 8 missions and something new with the pack too, which I love, Jim. You could talk about a little bit. It has a format of a couple pages ahead that give you a little in depth about what JAG is, which I thought is great for mission brief packs. So, Cory, first, how did you get such different stories with it? Like me, I would look up old Perry Mason episodes probably just recoat them in Star Trek. What did you do? What was your method?
Looked at historical records a little bit, the different past crimes that have happened. It's like, all right, I can take element of this one, and put something new inside, a little twist.
Love that. I actually really like. I think that's a great idea. I've mentioned it before when Jim had me write some mission brief packs. I looked at old episodes of the A-Team, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I can work this old A-Team episode, into it." So I love that you did that. That you find elements. That's great advice for writers, right?
Mm-hmm.
To look into that. Mm-hmm.
As long as you can find something that's based pretty close to reality, or in reality, it works very well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, as Michael alluded, I'm trying to change the format of the mission brief packs just a little bit, so that's not just missions. It's also a little bit of background information and detail on whatever that topic is. So, talk a little bit about your research process. Like, what did you do to learn more about Judge Advocate General, in like current militaries and current governments, and how did you distill that into a Star Trek frame of mind?
Well, I did have access to the Uniform Code of Justice. That was like, all right, I can look at that, see how that's applied, and just use past knowledge because I come from a military family. So, my mom likes to play lawyer. She's not, but
So she used to interrogate you. Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes.
Nice. And I think because the development time of this, we originally intended this to be a first edition release, but then second edition came out, and I kind of shelved it for a little while so that we could get second edition under our feet, and then reskin it for second edition. In the time that you started writing it and then it coming out, we actually got the Strange New Worlds JAG episode with Una and the whole thing with the Illyrians. Did that episode coming out influence any of the work that you did for the brief pack, or was it pretty much a done deal by the time it had come out?
Yeah, I pretty much finished writing, but when I saw that episode, I was like, I'm on something.
It's my favorite Strange New Worlds episode.
I was silently wondering, like, did someone leak my writing to them?
I think all of us at some point think that people are snooping into our Google Drives. I think Jim and Jim, talk about the new format. Is that going to happen for all mission brief packs coming out now, where we get a little that I love that juicy tidbit of information that maybe didn't have time to fit into like the core rule book. Can you talk to us about the new format?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really it, Michael. Is that I know what the production schedule looks like for the next bunch of books, and I know that certain topics, like I want to explore certain topics for the purposes of the game, because I think it would be useful for game masters and players to use them, right? You know, the Department of Temporal Investigations that Merrick Moyer did for the brief pack earlier in the year, and then Cory's Judge Advocate Generals, and then the mission brief pack that'll be out in December 2025 is another topic that I wanted to have the writer, you know, do 2, 3, 4 pages of just stuff that I couldn't fit into another book, right? But I still want to get that cool content out there. And so it's just an opportunity to do a little bit more with the format. Because I know you writers, you know, Cory and Michael and the other folks have been doing a lot of mission briefs. We did really good with those mission brief packs, but we wanted to play with the format a little bit, right? Maybe add some stats, maybe add more background context. I still avoided adding statistics for stat blocks, partly because the stat blocks just take up so much space on the page, and because these are free releases, you know, I don't want to put too much page count in it, because we want to be, we're still primarily a commercial business. We got to make our money somehow, but we still want to give the fans love, and I think these brief packs are a great way to do it. So yeah, absolutely. In the mission brief packs, you'll see especially for next year, you'll see more of that, like 2-3 pages of thematic focused content, and then those 8 to 10 mission briefs that build on it and are oriented toward that topic. So I think so far it's been working pretty well, and hopefully we'll do more of them.
Yeah, I really love that. That's a really good format. And then Cory, you also did the mission brief pack on first contacts also. Any favorite story that you want people to pay attention to? And players, maybe you don't want to look at the mission brief pack, but game masters, what would you point game masters to in the first contact pack?
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't really help, but
I'm putting you on the spot too, because I'm assuming you remember. I forget sometimes after I send something to Jim, and then all of a sudden it's announced that it came out. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. so I shouldn't put you on the spot, maybe, but
there was one that came to mind. It's that
okay.
I actually have all of them open on my other monitor screen too, so I can check.
Oh, good.
But Echoes of the Past.
And why that one?
It's pretty much has an old Intrepid type Earth vessel from the Romulan War that reappears.
Mm-hmm.
Only has a different kind of crew on it, making first contact with the Federation.
Oh, interesting. So they took over somehow got our ship?
A little bit.
Okay.
I also remember it because during the editing process, Jim said, this ship does not exist. And then comes back with both April and me saying, no, it does, and showing like, there it is.
Oh, that's
from
fun.
the Drexler files.
I love winning canon wars. That's some of the best stuff to do.
It was just in my old archive files. I had it under just in the Drexler files, a Drexler type ship.
Oh man.
So in the official ones, it's Intrepid type. So it's like, all right.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because there was a USS Intrepid, but was it an Intrepid type?
No, I mean
nope.
the Intrepid, if I remember right, was one of the Constitution classes, but there's probably been other ones, as well.
Right, and then Voyager's an Intrepid type, right? Which is the more modern
Intrepid class. The Intrepid type is almost pre-Federation. Okay. It's one of the ones that you can see in the Enterprise.
Fantastic. You seem like, and now I'm starting to put the pieces together with we have with you on continuing missions and with that story in First Contact. How much do you love Star Trek ships?
A lot.
Yeah. Do you have all the models? I'm picturing now your house with all the little models and stuff.
Well, when I moved over to the UK, I couldn't bring them all over. So I only have 3 three tiny ships that are on my bookshelf: the Enterprise A, Reliant, and then the Time ship.
Okay, good. Maybe I know Utopia Planitia, the book. I'm sure you saw that one and have that one.
Yep, I
Did you
have a copy of it on my bookshelf.
Yeah, because the mission briefs there were all about exploring ships too. So I think that's really cool, Jim, how what you're doing is with the different mission brief packs coming in, you're exploring different themes and facets of Star Trek in such boiled down way. So I like them because when I go through the mission brief packs, I'm always like, what kind of story do I want to tell this time? And I have all these options of, do I want a first contact? Now we have do I want a JAG story? Do I want time travel? That makes it super cool for people picking up those packs.
Yeah, I think the mission brief packs lend themselves really well to topics that I probably couldn't fill a 128-page book about. I mean, like, yeah, maybe we could do 128 pages on Judge Advocate General, but it would be hard to make it a viable book, because like how many people are gonna, I mean, certainly some people will buy it because it's Star Trek, but how many people are going to buy it because it's specifically about JAG, right? So it's just a challenge of like finding really cool topics that we can talk about and finding things that fit the shorter format, just so I can keep getting stuff out there. Because like, I mean, I would love it if the industry was what it was in the 90s, where we could publish 80-page softcover black and white books on very specific topics, kind of like what West End Games did and what Games Workshop or GDW did with the Twilight 2000, where you could do really short paperbacks. But I think right now, which is where the industry is, people really want their hardback full color books, right? And you got to make it more broadly appealing than very, very specific. Like I would love to do a time travel book. I would love to do an alternate universe book, but it's just hard to figure out like what's the right format for that. And I'm just glad that, Cory and Michael, and just so many other writers are embracing the mission briefs as a concept. And then, the format, so that we can make these, little chunky PDFs and make them fun and useful too, right? Just to add more context and content to the if not canon, at least the Star Trek Adventures canon.
Yeah. Well, Cory, keep them coming. You definitely are one of my favorite content providers, fueling my imagination and people around the table. Let's go over into gratitude. Jim, why don't you start? We'll go to Cory, and then I'll close out with gratitude for this moment.
I honestly don't remember who it was, but I am grateful for the writers that I was inspired by to come up with the format for the mission briefs. I'm sure it was any number of writing books about outlining and storytelling, and just structuring, how to structure stories, and working with both of you and other writers to kind of refine the format and do that experiment back in the day when we did the first mission briefs for the Klingon core rule book, and then expanded it into the line of free PDFs. So I'm just grateful to all the writers out there who are sharing their knowledge on how to write, how to plot, how to outline, and absorbing that. So thanks to everybody who not only develops your knowledge but also shares your knowledge. That's my gratitude.
Very nice. Cory, who do you want to give your gratitude to today?
Pretty much the Jim for giving me a chance too. I just hadn't had much chance to write, but before, and now writing almost every day.
That's awesome.
It's nice that he was able to give me a chance.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. We're definitely family siblings on that for sure. Very good. I'm gonna, of course, give a thank you to the writer of Ad Astra per Aspera, who is Dana Horgan. My favorite S&W episode. It's hard to write a compelling JAG episode, I would assume, because you don't want to give away the ending and you have to have a build up. And one of the things, Cory, that I really liked, and my thank you also goes to you in the same line, is as I was reading the mission briefs, you were laying out clues so I could see how the players would still have the happy resolution at the end, of feeling like they solved the crime. And it's really hard to me when I'm ever asked to like do a mystery or thriller. How do you lay it out where yeah, there's a written story and there's a goal, but how do you keep the suspense in the player so they have that thrilling feel? And the way you wrote those, again, that's a special level of talent. Jim gave you maybe your first writing job, but you're a writer, or your first published opportunity, but you're a writer. That's a hard skill to have. So anybody who are doing writing mysteries, thrillers, or JAG, really got to appreciate all of you out there. All right, Cory, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Yeah, awesome. And keep writing. And when you get your novels ready to go and published, we'll be happy to have you on again to talk about all your new projects and your new work that's going on. So just keep us updated. Love to have you back on the show.
Oh, I can't wait to play some of those JAG mission briefs in my tabletop game, Jim. Really, really good juicy stuff there. Good drama.
Yeah, I was excited to see it. I mean, there are a handful of episodes from the canon that are all about the JAG, and of course, the most recent one being the Strange New Worlds episode with Una. But I think I really love Cory's great ideas that they brought into it, and I think there's just great opportunity to add that into the into your missions and into your campaigns. So
that's right. But remember, what got Star Trek started though was what 5-year missions, right?
So we're going to be talking about next with our wonderful other next guest, Marco Rafala.
All right, let's go over to Italy. Let's transport over there.
Oh.
Okay, we finally, Jim, got Marco Rafala on the show.
Yeah, and we were talking in the pre-show, and it was a stunning oversight because I thought for sure we had Marco on the show already, and yet we didn't because well, I guess I don't know, whatever happened. But Marco, so thrilled to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. That must have been an alternate universe. Like, right, I think we might have diverged sometime after 2019, and we all slipped into a different timeline. So yeah.
Yeah, they interviewed you on the blog before, but never actually had you on this podcast.
In the prime timeline, yes. In the before time.
Before we all have goatees, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Marco, Marco, novelist, fiction writer, also Star Trek writer. He's written a couple things for Star Trek Adventures, including a new thing that'll be coming out here as of the day of this recording. It'll be out the following Wednesday, but it'll already have been out by the time this episode airs. But Marco, so given that this is your first time on the show, we have a tradition here. Anytime we have a new guest on the show, we ask them 2 questions, and so far all of our guests have been Star Trek or Star Trek adjacent. So we may have to change these questions when we start having guests who don't know Star Trek. But obviously, because you do know Star Trek, we would love to know, and our listeners and viewers would love to know, which is your favorite Star Trek series and why, and who is your favorite Star Trek character and why?
So it's not a fair question, really. If we're being honest about it. So for me, it oscillates back and forth between Star Trek, the original series, and then The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Those 3 are just, I go back and forth on which one I love the most. And the original series because it was the original series, but my brother got me into Star Trek when I was a kid. We used to watch it all the time together when it was in repeats when the original series was airing. And then TNG, I think I was in high school when that came out. And I don't know. It's just it took that Star Trek's format, that formula, but it moved it sort of into a different place with a lot of the character focused stories that it did. And then DS9 because it's just so good, like that Dominion war story, and even the religious aspect of the show, and the investigation of religious belief and I don't want to say terrorism, but there were some. They were delving into some of that a little bit, I believe. And Spock would be my favorite character because growing up in the household that I grew up in, where my mom was an American and my father was an immigrant from Italy, he just kind of made the world make sense to me because he was also sort of a child of 2 worlds.
That's awesome. I think, guys, Michael, I haven't been doing a punch list, but I think many of our recent guests have noted Spock as the fan favorite.
He's definitely the winner, I think, if we were to go back and tally.
And I have to ask Marco only because I've been asking everybody else. It would feel like an oversight. Is it Spock as a overall character that you're fondest of, or do you prefer like Nimoy, Quinto, or Peck?
I gotta say Leonard Nimoy.
Got it.
Peck does a really good job, but Leonard Nimoy, he made that character. He's, in my head, he's Spock forever.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And I really appreciate what you were saying about Next Generation, really taking what started in Star Trek and then expanding on it. I've been slowly working my way through a rewatch of Next Generation, and I'm almost done with the first season. But what I'm really appreciating is how much little bits of Starfleet day in the life of stuff that they're sneaking into the episodes. And it's like, oh wow. And it's like, because I'm trying to watch them from a role-playing perspective, like what can you learn from this episode as a game master or as a player going forward. And like there's like I just watched Home Soil, and was it Home Soil? No, it was Heart of Glory, with where they first introduced the Klingons, and Worf gets some nice backstory. And there's just this one little beat where Geordi is looking at the wall, and he said, oh, there's structural fatigue here, and it'll probably collapse in like 5 minutes. And he was like so completely nonchalant about the fact that he's on a starship that's going to be destroyed in like 5 minutes. He's like, oh yeah, this is just a day of. And it's really nice that Next Gen was able to build on everything that Star Trek had started, right? And a whole lot more texture to the universe. And of course, we could go on about DS9 all day, but we're not here to talk about DS9. We're here to talk about you. I don't want to bore Michael, because he's heard plenty of DS9 lately, so that's all good. So great. So before we talk about your new mission brief pack, which will be coming out here very, very shortly, would love to get a little bit of insight into you. Just like where did your writing life start, and how did Star Trek play a role in that, if at all? And then how did that lead you to your novel?
I want to say that, Star Trek did sort of play probably a small role, because when The Next Generation was airing, I think I might have read it in like a fanzine or a Trek magazine, or I read somewhere that they were accepting unsolicited scripts from anyone. Didn't matter if you were in the business or not, or if you had an agent or not. So I wrote like the worst Star Trek. I was like, I don't know how old I was. I was in early high school. The worst Star Trek episode you've probably ever, worse than the worst from season 1 of TNG, right?
I want it posted up on Continuing Missions now. Yeah, you're gonna have to do it.
I don't even know. Oh no, it's in the trash heap somewhere. And I think I might have actually called their office. I was pretty ballsy. I can't remember the woman's name, but there was like a woman that was in charge of that heap of unsolicited stuff. And like, she gave me all this address or whatever. I can't remember. And I mailed it in and never heard another word.
What was her
rejection?
Name? Do you know?
Do you know her name? Do you remember her name?
Yeah, that was Lolita Fat Joe.
Yeah.
I remember calling you on the hotline too.
Yeah, so that was like probably the first like rejection of like a piece of art, that, or something that I created that I put out into the world. Rejected without even an actual "I'm sorry, we're not interested." It was just like silence. So, but probably. I mean, I took like creative writing classes and stuff in college. And wrote, when I was in a band, wrote music, wrote lyrics to music. So it was always just kind of there. And the novel came from, the debut novel came from a trip that I took with my father to Sicily. So I just had all these stories that I heard from him growing up that were just percolating in my head. And didn't really understand them and how they all fit together and what they meant to me and to him until he and I took this trip together. And then when I came back, that's when I started writing. And I thought they were short stories. And then I went to the Wesleyan Summer Writers Conference in Middletown, Connecticut. And I met an author there who was a visiting writer, and he was a professor there, Alexander Chi. And I got to have office hours with him. So I showed him these short stories, and he took them back to his place. And I met him again like a week later when he came, because he lived in New York, and I was living in New Haven, Connecticut. And then I would pick him up from the train station and bring him to Middletown, and we would have our office hours on the drive to Middletown from the train station in New Haven. And so that's just sort of how that, he's like, these aren't short stories. You're working on a novel that's going to take you a long time. So if you're serious, like,
yeah,
I can work with you on that. So I became his student for a little while. That's how that happened. He was like my mentor for quite a while.
Yeah, and I'm glad it worked. I mean, for those of you who have not had a chance, I'm on my second read of How Fires End, by the way, and my wife is about to read it on our upcoming vacation because I've been telling her she has to, it's just such a good book. I think one of the things that caught me, I think I told you early on, Marco, after I read it, is, and I want to ask you about it, the way you use language was more like poetry to me in a lot of the sections of it. The cadence, the way you let certain sentences breathe, even short sentences. I'm a big fan of short sentences. How did you develop that? Was that something that has always naturally been your writing style? How intentional was that in writing a novel, the way you chose to use language in it?
I think it probably comes from my musical background. When I was in college, obviously taking creative writing courses, I wrote poetry, not particularly very good poetry, but I wrote poetry. I was always more of a prose person, but I'll write a sentence. I'll be thinking about it. I'll write it. I'll read it out loud, listen to how it sounds, and I will tinker with a sentence for a week or more until it sounds right coming out of my mouth. I'll drive my wife insane.
Well, it is. I mean, and there was, one of the words, I don't know why it comes up. Like I think about crunchy. Some of the scenes were very crunchy, and when you're walking through the scenes, or when I'm reading through the scenes, I'm there. I can actually taste, feel, touch. And it seems like you had a lot of sensory purpose to a lot of the way you wrote. And I show people some of the sections, some of the people are like, look at this, like just read it, so I was just wondering if that's just always your style or if that was purpose just for How Fires End.
I just think it's naturally how I operate. Cool. I see the scene in my head, so that translates into turning it into making it as visual, or like there's a movie in my head playing of what these characters look like in whatever scene they're in. And I try to sort of capture that. And you never do, or at least I never do, to my complete satisfaction, but that's just life. Yeah. You never get anything, perfect. And you just have to, at some point, it's good enough. It's, like you have to step away.
And the reader has to fill in too. I mean, you leave space for the reader's imagination too.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of World War II movies, so I just slide it into that genre to finish up the look of it in my mind. Which
and that I that's one of the things I like about movies, actually, because I've been rewatching Stranger Things. So now that the new final season is coming out, and it's been so long, I want to remember stuff. So I'm watching it from the beginning, and I like how in the beginning you don't really see you don't see there's no big bad monster. There's the Demogorgon, but you don't really see it that often. You don't really see the Upside Down that often. And they allow the audience to sort of fill in that in their own minds. And it's scarier that way. It's more unsettling. The higher budget you have, the more, temptation there is to just show way too much,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why what made Alien such a good movie initially is because you can never get a good vision of this creature. It was always in the shadows, which our minds freak us out way more than having to see the whole body. The minute we saw the whole body, it's like, that kind of ruins it. Good point. Jim, let's talk about the mission brief pack. I know we want to get into that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I reached out to Marco, and we're looking for. Actually, we should go back just a little bit. If I remember right, Marco, and certainly correct me if I'm wrong. During the pandemic, you were writing some Star Trek Adventures material just to keep yourself busy and active, and you had written a 5-part mini campaign, all focused on 5-year missions, the original series, etc. And it was, completely unsolicited. You just sent it my way. It was like, I don't know, 30,000 words or something. I was like, wow, this is great. I can't do anything with it though, because it was just like, I don't know what to do with it. And we didn't have any space in the production schedule at the time. Of course, during the pandemic, things were different too. But I think the idea, held on to me. And then we, reached out, and it was like, well, I got an opportunity for a mission brief. How about 5-year mission? Right? Is that?
Yeah. I think that's right. I needed something to, because I lost both my parents during that time, so I needed something to keep my mind busy, and I had to put the new novel I was working on aside because I just couldn't deal with writing that while everything else was going on. So I just had some harebrained idea of, I'm just going to write this Star Trek campaign, the Star Trek Adventures campaign set in the original series era, with a ship on a 5-year mission. And then, I don't know how exactly, or what my pitch, I suppose, as it were, was when I sent it off to you. And then it just kind of, some time went by, and then I think you came back to me and asked if there was a way to, I think, rework some of it or something into the mission brief. And by that time, I had run the whole thing with a group online, saw all the holes and where it wasn't working and stuff, and it would have needed a lot more revisions and stuff anyway. So the mission briefs made more sense for the amount of time that we all had to put something together.
Right. Yeah, got it. Okay. Anyway, so you put this 5-year mission brief pack together, and as with the new second edition briefs, where instead of just doing 10 one-page stories, we're providing 2-3 pages of information that's related to the topic of the mission briefs, in this case the 5-year mission program, and then going into the actual briefs. Was anything in particular about obviously you've mentioned that you're a big fan of the original series and Next Gen, which are probably the two best examples, other than maybe Strange New Worlds, of the traditional classic 5-year mission, alien of the week, planet of the week, situation of the week that you deal with, and then you move on. And in general, you don't go back to it except in certain cases. So what were you pulling on to put not just the information about 5-year missions together, but then the actual missions themselves?
I was definitely pulling on going back to my childhood and the episodes that I loved from the original series, the ones that really stuck with me. And those are usually the ones where there's like this sense of wonder, or, you're out there like Corbin might maneuver, or Charlie X, there's like, there's that sense of, you are explorers, you're out there far from far away from any colonies or from home or whatever, and you're at the forefront of exploring and finding something that no one has ever found or seen before. So I was trying to pull on those those kinds of episodes that I love about all of the Star Trek, all of the various Star Trek series. Even like in Strange New Worlds, I forget the name, Children of the Comet. I love that episode. That is a great episode. Season 1, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, season 1, the second episode, in fact. And the reason I know that is because Delta has Paramount Plus on their in-flight video system, and they've got the first 3 episodes of Strange New Worlds on there. So I've been on a couple of flights this year, and I've watched Children of the Comet like 5 times this year, just because it's been on the plane there and back. And I really like that episode grew on me quite a bit. There's just so much cool stuff going on in there.
And the actress who plays Uhura really, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she really sort of sells that sense of wonder and awe of like, 'cause she's a cadet, and that's the first season, isn't she? She's still a cadet. And like, can you just imagine being a cadet and having that experience? You know, like, it's amazing.
Yeah. And then
she really sells that. Sorry.
Right. And so you would recommend these mission briefs that you put together, you know, a standalone or episodic, you know, like weave together. Are they, you know, do they have a continuous through line? Like, can you explain what people could expect when they pick this up?
No, I don't think they have a continuous through line. They're definitely more in that sort of TOS vein, you know, adventure of the week, planet of the week, monster of the week sort of story. And if I were to run them, and I've run versions of these, that's the through line for me would be individual character arcs, which is what you would see in like TNG or something, right? Yeah, that growth.
A great way to do that. Rotate. Just kind of pick, if you're playing with 4 or 5 players, kind of pick which ones they get to star in.
Yeah, and how does that experience change them over time, and then compounded with the experiences of the next episode and then one after that, sort of, you know. And
yeah, we love that. We love the new format. We talked about it when we introduced the new format for 2E with these, is where you also give some background of you know, in this case, 5-year missions. And for writing that part, you have like Ad Astra per Aspera, of course, you know, great title there that models the season 2 episode from Strange New Worlds. But when you were doing that research with the background on the 5-year missions, what's why that information to the reader? Why'd you choose what you chose there for your intro for 5-year missions?
Mike asks the hard questions, doesn't he?
I like to know. Like, say for example, no, I know, and I didn't even give you time to prepare. You know,
no, that's okay.
We had the one on DTI. Merrick Moyer, you know, he came on to talk about Department of Temporal Investigations, and so it's possible that someone picking up that mission brief never watched an episode of it, doesn't know. So he gave background, like why did it form and stuff like that. So
right.
The relevance of players knowing the 5-year mission. You know, I don't want to read through the whole thing here. What was the high points that you wanted people to walk away with?
That it was it's kind of considered the golden era of exploration in the universe, right? In the Star Trek universe, and that it was a bold new sort of initiative. I was thinking of like NASA. I was thinking of, you know, the Apollo program, what might come after. I know our space program has been spinning its wheels for decades, for most of my life, actually. But you know, what sort of like what that would feel like, what the purpose of that would be for humanity, for the Federation, for Starfleet, and also coming from the violence and hardship of the Earth-Romulan War, and what and the scars of that, both personally for the individuals that were involved in it, the Starfleet officers, the civilians, the scientists, and for the planet itself, for the infrastructure, you know, and so it felt to me that those were the bullet points to start from.
Yeah, and I like how you did it by era too. So many people forget that while even the Klingon Federation War was going on, the Enterprise was out on a 5-year mission. They missed that war. Right. So even during these great conflicts going on, maybe even during the Dominion War, people can choose to play like, no, we're still on a 5-year mission. You don't have to be trapped into canon to me if you choose that kind of game. You can evade canon, right?
Right. And as the technology advanced, even into the Next Generation era, we know that they were still doing long duration missions, and maybe the Enterprise itself was sort of on a continuing, ongoing mission, but that's because it could sustain itself because of how large it was and the technology that it had. But other ships, smaller ships, maybe they were on 4-year missions, maybe they were on 8-year missions. I think there's like a non-canon source of I can't remember the name of the ship, but Uhura was the captain, and they went to the larger or lesser I can't pronounce the word. Magellan. It's the Magellan. Somebody help. Help me out here, Jim.
You're her captaining the Leonda Grants.
Yes, Leonda Grants. That's right.
I think it's Magellanic, the lesser Magellanic cloud.
Yeah.
And Sulu, did a lot too. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know if they were long-term exploration missions, right? And I think even oh gosh, what was her name? The DS9 episode, The Sound of Her Voice.
Yes, that's a great episode.
The captain was on a long-term deep space exploration mission, and they didn't specify 5 years, but presumably it was longer because by the time of Next Generation, the Galaxy class other ships were capable of 20-year missions, right? If they wanted to. That's why they brought their families with them, because they were going to be gone for
a long time. Yeah.
So so I'm really curious to see what happens then, because when you were writing this and I was reviewing the draft, I saw some interesting parallels between like the original series and the Lost Era and what we know of in the 32nd century after season 5 of Discovery, where the Federation is just starting to come back together. They're starting to develop new means of faster than light propulsion, and there's a whole galaxy to explore, right? They still got to explore, but bonus, not only are they exploring, they're also trying to piece together the old remnants of the Federation and building something new. So I could see if a group wanted to run a campaign post Discovery, or even in the time frame of the upcoming Starfleet Academy, you could totally use the concepts in here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So I go back real quick just to give credit where credit is due. Uhura's actor is Celia Rose Gooding.
Yes.
So kudos to her for a fantastic job in Children of the Comet, because that is one of my favorite episodes to recommend to people. Like if they don't know anything about Star Trek or Starfleet, and like, okay, I'm a cadet or I'm an ensign. What does that mean? It's like, well, okay, watch this, because Uhura goes through exactly what your character will probably go through. Like, okay, you're a specialist. You're really good at what you do. People are going to rely on you to be good at what you do when you're in a crisis situation. And if you need an example of that, go watch this. So go check that out. All right, cool. So you said you ran most of these briefs in one form or another. I know they're all in here and you wrote them all, but do you have any particular one or two that were your favorites that you enjoyed, running in, I guess, alpha mode, and then you refined them into the brief?
Yeah. The Pioneers, which is the very first one, it's just a classic, almost a cliched classic, like Star Trek setup. You discover human settlement where there shouldn't be one, kind of a thing, almost like The Cage. So yeah, that one was fun. Was fun for me to play around with an online group that I sort of found during the pandemic. We played on Roll20 for quite a while.
I think we posted some of those stories. What was the name of the group?
What do you mean?
Didn't you play also like on a RPG and post it on continuing missions? No, am I mixing it up? No, okay. The Spacemen, you're not part of the Spacemen group, I take it?
No.
I'm getting confused. I thought you were. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And then what was your other story? You said the Pioneers was one. Then
the Pioneers, and I think Graylin was the other one that I really came out really well in play. And that was sort of an episode where it's sort of Charlie X-ish, but only in I guess, surface. I was thinking, like, I love Charlie X. What could I do that's sort of like that, but not ripping it completely off, you know? And so that's where that came from. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and that's where the Graylin being a Gestalt entity, spoiler, sort of that's where that came from, was this conversation that I had with him.
Very good. So a lot of good concepts in here. Again, I enjoy when I skim these. I just got this today, the same day that you came on, but skimming through them, I'm always looking for what puzzle pieces can I use and meld them together sometimes, because there's so much content out there for Star Trek that I've learned that now I take 2 or 3 mission briefs or things and I bring them together so there's little elements of everything in it. And just my quick looking at this Graylin one was perfect. I love when Star Trek characters meet one entity and the entity is like, is this so powerful that our whole ship is required to, I love those kind of episodes.
Yeah. Like the Survivor from GNG. That's a great episode.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, I think I told you over email, Marco, but I ran Time Capsule.
You did, yes.
One of the briefs in here a couple of months ago when I went to Galaxicon in Minnesota. I knew I was going to be running a demo there for a couple hours, and I was like, okay, I need something new and something different to run. I didn't want to run something that they were already familiar with. I didn't want to run the starter set. I didn't want to run, the adventure out of the core book or whatever. I wanted to do something different, and I knew at the time I went, this was just wrapping up layout. And I was like, oh, I'll take one with me and kind of preview the new mission brief pack and get the handful of people that I'd be running it for excited. I think I picked Time Capsule because it was such a really good story. It reminds me a little bit of the Inner Light, where you're getting involved in this culture that no longer exists. Spoiler warning. But what I really liked about it is that I didn't have to worry about any combat, right? And because I knew I was going to be running a demo for a bunch of people who, a few of them played Star Trek, a few of them had never played Star Trek. I wanted to get them into like a good role playing kind of thoughtful, introspective Star Trek-y kind of thing. And this one just really called to me. And I think they had a lot of fun with it. We only had about 3 hours to play, and they got so involved in the the first major beat and a half or so that we just didn't have time to get to the big reveal in the third part. But I got as close as I could, and I kind of wrapped the key concepts into the second act. And then in our 30-minute debrief, I told them, okay, if we had another session or another couple hours to play, here's what would have happened to build on everything else that happened. And they thought that was really cool. So yeah, kudos to this. Really good job. The AI technology is certainly relevant in our current news and everything. But yeah, I really had a good time running this one, and I'm just eager to get some of the other ones to the table as well. But yeah, nice work on certainly Time Capsule, and I think it's a
thank you.
There's lots of ways that you can morph this one, and I mean all of them, right? But this one in particular, there's lots of ways you could add stuff to this to fold it into your ongoing campaign and really bring character stuff in here, because there's lots of stuff. I talked to them. We ran it on Saturday, and then on Sunday at breakfast and lunch, they were still talking about it, right? They were still.
Oh, that's awesome.
And one of the guys who was playing had to leave about halfway through and for another event. And he came back and he's like, oh, what did I miss? What did I miss? I was so disappointed I missed it. And so anyway, yeah, it was really a lot of fun. Yeah. So folks, those of you who are curious, mission briefs are free. They're free downloads on the Modiphius site. So they cost you absolutely nothing other than the time to go get them. Mission briefs, 5-year missions is the latest installment of second edition mission briefs. And hopefully, I know there was a couple people on continuing mission. It might have been Tony Pye and maybe somebody else had been going through an exercise where they would take different mission briefs and turn it into a campaign with an overarching story. But they were pulling mission briefs from all over the place. And I thought that was a really cool concept. I'd love to see somebody, continue with that, because it helps me as a game master when I don't have time to pull them all together. But I think there's plenty of great material in here for people to play with. So yeah, any Marco, any last thoughts on this mission brief pack?
Well, first, I have to say I love the new layout for second edition. It's just phenomenal. It's easy on the eyes while still feeling like you're in the future and you're in that universe. And then the other thing is just about the mission brief in general. There's one where it's because we were talking about you could play this in different eras. You can do it after the burn. You can do it, in like the Starfleet Academy era, that the new show that's coming out in January. Is that right?
Yep.
Is the Turnabout is Fair Play is like a sort of like a sequel to an actual TOS episode. But that would just take a little bit of tinkering to tweak that so that it isn't contingent on the Enterprise incident, that episode from TOS.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's the only one that actually references an episode from the original series.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately, you made these all flexible enough that they can be adapted pretty easily as needed. So yeah, cool. All right, great. Let's see. I remember in the pre-show you didn't really have anything specific that you were ready to plug just yet. But other than what you're working on right now, like what's your dream project? If you had something to really sink your teeth into as a writer, Star Trek or otherwise, what's on your mind?
Well, right now my sort of dream project is to get this second novel off my plate because it's been too long. What was that?
I can't wait.
Oh, thank you.
I've been rereading your other novel just because I have nothing else.
Thank you. Yes, at the moment, that's sort of my dream project is to get that done and move on. I want to write a horror book. Actually, is sort of the next thing that I want to do. Yeah. I remember being a kid watching The Exorcist for the first time, and it just that sort of possession, demonic sort of story stuff. That's the horror that scares the living daylights out of me. So I want to sort of play with that a little bit, explore that because I kind of want to know why it scares me so much.
Well, that's excellent. Yeah, definitely. No shortage of opportunities to explore what scares you and something new. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, like Michael, I'm eager to see your next novel and to see whatever else you're working on. So that's awesome. Michael, I think you have any other questions for Marco?
Gratitude. I think we're good for gratitude, and I'll do gratitude. Pass it over to Marco and let you close it out, Jim, for this one. Marco, I'm going to give it to you. Again, it's been too long to have you on the show. I enjoy a book that makes me slow down. So that I can enjoy the language in it. So I'm going to thank you because I have to admit that ever since I read your book, I look at my words differently and how they, I think the way you said, like cadence, like a song, how they roll off. So thank you for that master class in the use of language in order to drive a story and make it palatable, so palatable to enjoy. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Oh, so now okay.
Yeah, your turn.
My gratitude is going to be to Jim, if that's allowed, because Jim sort of opened the door to me to be that kid again, sitting in front of the TV watching Star Trek with his big brother, and I get to play in that sandbox for just a little while, and that's, I've said this to my brother before, like. If you had told me when I was 10 that I'd get to put words in the mouths of Starfleet officers on a starship out somewhere in space, that blows the 10-year-old mind. My little 10-year-old mind would explode. So thank you, Jim.
Well, thank you, Marco. That's very kind. I'm verklempt.
Well, I think it's important to always feel like a kid, to always be in touch with your inner child, and this work here has sort of reminded me of that and helped me do that. So, and that was.
I am grateful for that. Thank you, Marco.
You're welcome.
Gosh, how do I top that? Or I don't, not to say to top it, but how do I wrap up from that? I'm grateful to Marco. I'm grateful to Michael. I'm grateful to all the writers that we've had on the shows who are doing their thing and showing how to do it in different ways than what I do it. And for me personally, I had been writing a lot of fiction right about the time my son was born, 10 years ago. And like right after he was born, I wrote and published, 3 novels and 3 novellas. And I had this long list of stuff I was going to continue writing. Like I had series, I had novels, I had all this other stuff doing. And I just stumbled into this work with Modiphius on the Star Trek game, right? And I intentionally shelved all that fiction so I could work on this for a while. And just in the last couple of years, I've been just interviewing people like you and other writers. I'm like, I want to get back to writing. So, thank you, Marco, and all the other writers for writing your fiction, for writing your novels, and for getting them out there, so that I can look into those and go, this is something else I could be doing. And so now I'm working on how do I balance the two better than I've been doing in the previous years, and get back to the passion of writing, in addition to having the passion of helping other people, get into Star Trek and stuff. So thank you for being an inspiration, even if I've never really come out to you and said, hey, Marco, really inspired me to get my butt back into the writing chair. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Cool. And we'll see you in the future. I'm sure next book that comes out, we'll make sure to get on here and promote you and see you writing more Trek.
Cool.
All right.
And is Camilla, right? She's doing well?
She is. Yes. Thank you.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Marco. We'll have you back again real soon, I'm sure. And that was Marco beaming all the way in from Italy. Oh gosh, it's so fun to read. It's so fun to read his stuff. He just brings an elevated thing to the mission briefs. Which, by the way, in case anybody hasn't been paying attention, or if you're new to Star Trek Adventures, those are FREE free downloads.
Yes.
So showing the fan love here. Go to the Modiphius website. Go to or use your favorite search engine. Star Trek Adventures downloads.
Wow.
Go to our new fancy downloads page that our wonderful web team put together, and you can find all kinds of cool free downloads, including all the mission briefs that we did for first edition, all the mission briefs we're doing for second edition, and guess what? They're compatible. You can use them in either edition. And
right. There must be at least 200 of them now, right? At least.
I mean, there's 19, 22, 23 packs, 24 packs.
Yeah.
Mission briefs that we included in all of our various and sundry books. There's got to be 300 plus mission briefs at this point.
That is like having 14 years of Star Trek episodes.
Something like that.
When they used to have 26 a year, which was the good times, right? They had 26 a year. That's amazing. So now that's what we mean by infinite stories and infinite combinations, people. If you're playing at your game, you can play this till you retire and beyond. So thank you for Modiphius and Jim for designing and planning and getting those mission brief packs out that are free.
And thank you. I mean, certainly, sure. Thank me. I'll take that. But thanks to Modiphius for I don't want to, tolerating is not the right word. Indulging me in getting these freebies out. I think they recognize that the free downloads keep fans engaged and invested, and they keep coming back for more. And not only that, it doesn't hurt the sales of the print books that keep the line alive. So
yeah. Well, I'm hooked. So, all right, the conversation continues, Jim. Until next time, adios.
Live long and prosper, everybody. Be safe, be well. We'll see you next time.